That's how we're going to open the show. We're going to be talking about that.
Works for me, man. I'm cool. I'm cool.
All right, so we are back, second time today, Wisco Fanatics. So we're back again. Well, I'm back again. Got some breaking news right before the show dropped, but I just want to give another shout out to Open Locker and Brian Klatsky for jumping on with me today to talk about the Matty Baddies launch that's happening today. I went and looked because today is their launch. They didn't have any prices or anything before the launch was today. You can get their autographed cards for $29. So
All of them?
all of them. They're all $29. All of them.
Okay.
So if you want to get some Connor Segan, Chucky Hepburn, Chris Hodges, Kamari McGee, Max Klesmit, and Jordan Davis, those are the 6 guys they have under their representation right now. You can get their autographed cards for $29. That link is on the page for us. If you want to go and find it on there. Now, to the first bit of breaking news we have here is that the Bucks have waived Sandro Mamukelashvili. This happened 2 minutes ago. Yeah. So right before the show, the Bucks waived Sandro Mamukelashvili. Jake, what are your initial thoughts on it? We haven't really had any time to think about it. So what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, right off the dome, I'm thinking he's a young guy. He wants to prove that he can play in this league. He's had very limited opportunities. It's almost like the Serge Ibaka situation, except he's young and he wants to prove that he can,
reverse the age.
Yeah, just reverse the age.
I can see that.
Same thing. He wants some playing time, and I am 100% okay with that. I think he should have waited till after the year so he could have got a ring, but yeah.
Well, I mean, if people are buying out other players and opening up roster spots, I mean, maybe he's trying to put a little bit of tape out there, and make his prospects for the end of next season or going into the off season, maybe get himself multi-year deal or something like that where he can get like a 3-year. $11 million deal or something like that to get him some playing time and maybe some more opportunity. Initially, I was surprised, it came out of nowhere. There wasn't really any rumblings about it. What Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted was that his representation was looking for a release to increase his opportunity. And that's basically kind of what Jake was going on with opportunity for playing time. But it sounds like his representation, Mamu himself, was looking for more playing time or more opportunity, and the Bucks granted that request by waiving him, so that gives him the opportunity to sign anywhere in the NBA. Or if he wants to go play in Europe, he is from Georgia, so it maybe playing in Europe is what he wants to do, and he can go over there and just be a monster like he was in the Eurobasket League in the summer, and he just wants to go dominate in Europe. Maybe that's what he wants to do. But wherever he goes, this is going to be a situation just like guys that got traded, just like when we go back to Packer season and Amari Rodgers was cut. Wish them the best as long as it's not against us.
Yeah, and I don't want anybody taking shots at his character because that's not the situation that we're in right now. Right. I have no ill will towards him, so I wish him the best, like you said. I hope that he dominates.
Yeah. What's up, Tim? Just talking about Sandro Mamukelashvili being waived. And yes, that's important, Jake, that I think that we put that out there, that we're not here to question his character because we don't know that that's an issue.
Yes.
So it's really just a rumor to put that out there, and it's a dangerous one at that because he doesn't deserve that unless we find out that he does. But to put that out there, it's just irresponsible. So nobody should be questioning Mamu's character. He just wants the opportunity, and with the Bucks being a contender, they're just really not in a position to take on a 2 or 3 year developmental piece. That's just not where they're at in their franchise right now. So,
yeah, I'm okay with that. We've been through that period, Tyler.
Yeah. Yes, we have. Yes,
I'm okay where we're at.
Yes, we have. Yeah, I would much rather be a contender than a developer.
Yes.
So one of the things that makes the Bucks contenders is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it's mainly because of the two people, mainly the one that is in my opinion, one of the things that's like ruined sports media for me is Skip Bayless.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they're handling Giannis going on the Daily Show and making jokes and then being nice and humble right after by giving guys credit that he was making jokes about. But here's the thing. This is the kind of stuff we need to be talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
So we have it on the screen. It's a tweet from Drake Bentley, who works at the Journal-Sentinel in Milwaukee. It says, according to a public relations rep for the Charles Antetokounmpo Family Foundation, Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo will be committing $1 million to mental health services in Milwaukee.
That's fucking awesome, dude. This guy doesn't get better.
This should be plastered everywhere.
Yes.
Like this, you can't ask for anything else from Giannis. He said it when he talks about on the court and his healing and playing through injuries, that he gives everything he has. This man is giving everything he has to Milwaukee.
He really is, man. You know, he drops a 50-point game versus the Clippers. He name drops Culver's. Culver's donates 54,000, boxes of diapers. Now he's donating $1 million towards mental health services in Milwaukee. Like, it doesn't get any better than Giannis in terms of a superstar in sports today. And I will die on that hill. He is the greatest superstar in American sports right now.
I mean, like there's fantastic people out there, no doubt. Like we know with Aaron Jones is a great example.
Yep.
But the things that Giannis is doing, like it's not matched. And here's the thing. If it is matched, it's tragic that not more people know about it.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
This is the shit that should be on ESPN.
Yep.
This should be a leading story, not Giannis made jokes on The Daily Show and Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp crucified him for it.
Or Aaron Rodgers goes out of his darkness retreat. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm glad my quarterback is still alive. But why are we not talking about more stuff like this? I 100% agree with you. That was a great point, buddy.
Yeah, Isaac, if you didn't know or didn't figure it out, for those of you who don't know, Charles Antetokounmpo is Giannis's late father.
Yes.
So this foundation is in the name of Giannis's dad, and if you've seen any of Giannis's shoes, he's got it on there. I am my father's legacy. Mm-hmm. This right here proves that. Mm-hmm. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo is a man of his word, and it's right here. It's proof.
Yeah, I want to address Tim's comment here. Tim said he is a different kind of man, and I hope he never changes. I'll tell you, as long as his mother is in his ear, his mom is right here, and his girlfriend is right here, Giannis will have a great head on his shoulders. He's not going anywhere. He has great women in his life. Not saying he doesn't have great men. Not saying his brothers aren't great. But every great man has a great woman next to them. His mom and his wife are great women, and they're going to keep his head on straight. Even though, I'm not going to lie, he's starting to get a little cocky. Like, he kissed the sky last night after shooting a three. I was like, hey, bro, you have been out of pocket.
He was feeling himself last night. We'll get to that. We're going to start with the Badgers today, but this should be a leading story everywhere, and it's only news on Twitter. It should be everywhere.
Sadly.
All right. So I had to put that out. Now, we're going to start with the Badgers today, as we usually do. And again, I'll remind people, if you can go on Twitter. You can go on our Twitter page on Wisco Fanatics, and you can see some of the retweets and the links to it. Yeah, Isaac said the Daily Show stuff was funny. You can see the links to it on our Twitter page. You can find Matty Baddies there. It's a new NIL representation for a handful of Badgers players. You can get Badger player cards autographed by Badgers players for $29.
Not a bad deal, man. Connor definitely looks like a guy. That's all I'm going to say.
And what's cool about it is if you buy it before March 5th and the Badgers win the Big Ten tourney, you get your money back.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's a good deal then. That's a really good deal. I like that.
So just
Okay.
another incentive to cheer for the Badgers in the Big Ten tournament.
I like it. Like we need it anymore. We're all Badgers.
Right. Just on the fact that you should be cheering for the Badgers because that's what we do.
Yeah, the Badgers in your wallet at that point.
Right. And the thing of it is there's still a lot of negativity out there surrounding Badger basketball, and I get it. They've been really up and down, riding the roller coaster. But if you truly believe that the Badgers are just a terrible basketball team, like what more could a week and a tournament hurt you to cheer for them? You can spend the rest of April, all of May, June, July, August, September, and October complaining about it if that's really how you feel. There's time. You can still cheer for them until the season's over.
Would not recommend that. You're just stressing yourself out for no reason. But
exactly.
Whatever you want to do, I guess.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you don't think the Badgers are going to make the tournament, right now they're right on the bubble. They're on like the last 4 in or the first 4 out with basically everybody's brackets projections. But here's the thing. You can believe that the chances are 0 that they'll make it. But however much you believe that the chances are 0, regardless of how unlikely it is, the chances are still never 0 that they don't make the tournament.
True.
So it's going to happen that a team that does exactly what the Badgers do this year makes the tournament. Why not this year? Why not the Badgers?
I agree with that. I mean, not to get ahead of ourselves because we haven't recapped the games, but they have a really big opportunity over their next 2 games to really prove some shit. I mean, Michigan's not great. Michigan isn't great. We should have won the game. But Minnesota is not great. And Purdue obviously is one of the top teams. So if they could shock the world, beat a Purdue, and then, handle business like they should against a Minnesota team, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And make a little bit of noise in the Big Ten tournament. They don't even have to win the Big Ten tournament.
No,
just make a couple rounds in to the Big Ten tournament.
I agree.
Isaac said even if they don't make it, doesn't hurt ever to root for the team. And that's the thing. And this is an opportunity for Badgers fans to grow their mindsets. And this is the opportunity the Badgers fans have is all of the players on the current roster are eligible to be back next year. Everybody's an underclassman except for Tyler Wall.
Yep.
And Jordan Davis.
He has the COVID year, right?
Right. Tyler Wall has the COVID year, so Tyler could come back.
Okay.
I
thought so.
And Jordan Davis is a junior, so he'll be back.
100%.
Bob said it's sad that Sandro was waived. Don't know who John Horst has in mind, but they could have kept him with the herd for playing time. It sounds like Mamu's representation wanted him released so that he could try to find NBA playing time.
Yeah.
Is how it sounds that the news is floating around that they're looking for NBA playing time for him, not G League playing time. So
he's ready for his big boy pants.
Yeah. Or at least to find out if he's got it or not. If he'll fill out the big boy pants or not. Alrighty. Let's start with Power Pair, an underrated performer. Hit me with your Badgers Power Pair from the Iowa and Michigan games.
From the Iowa and Michigan games. Here we go. So, I have Connor Esiason, the most consistent player on the Badgers this season, in my opinion. And then Tyler Wall, the guy who in my mind is still the best player on this team, can have a great effect on both ends of the court. And when he has the ability to pass the ball, and he had a really, really sick pass in the Michigan game that I'm going to talk about. When he passes the ball and rebounds the ball like he's been doing over the last 2 games, the Badgers are a much better basketball team. We just need a couple more shot makers, and this team is dangerous. March Madness is called March Madness for a reason.
Right.
I didn't want to have to go on this tangent, but I knew I was going to. It's called March Madness because it's madness, right? You don't know who's going to win. Did anybody think of Lehigh or a Florida Gulf Coast or, I mean, there's just a number. There's a million of them.
Loyola, Chicago.
I mean, there's a million of them. Who the hell says the Badgers don't just shoot out of their mind for 4 or 5 games and then just end up in the champ? Who says that? Nobody knows. And I understand that you need superstar play.
And here's the
Tyler
thing.
Wall has that ability.
Here's the thing. It's not that it's super likely that it's going to happen. What we're saying is that it's not impossible for it to happen.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge the possibility of it.
Yeah.
That it's possible.
It is.
Bob asked, what's your take on UW Panthers coach Bart Lundy being snubbed for Horizon League head coach of the year? That's interesting. I didn't see who won it, but I have seen that UW Milwaukee has played very well. Antoine Davis for Detroit Mercy is an absolute stud. Like, that guy who plays in the Horizon League, he is very good. He said UW Milwaukee Panthers won 20 games. I'm not super familiar with the entire Horizon League, but I do know that UWM has played very well.
UWM is good, and UWGB is freaking horrible this year.
Yeah, it's rough.
They're one of the worst D1 teams in the nation. Them and IUPUI. Shout out to George Hill.
Youngstown State head coach won. Yeah, I'd have to look into it more. And UW Milwaukee is one of those teams that we haven't been able to pay a lot of attention to, because it's just, I mean, right now it's time constraints. Same thing with Marquette. Like, we would love to be covering Marquette as well. It's just one of those things we just haven't really had time to add back to our coverage, and that's something that as we grow and can potentially implement another show every week, that like UWM, maybe even some more Wisconsin sports, whether it be hockey or women's basketball or volleyball, anything like that. Volleyball. Yeah, Wisconsin volleyball. That's another great example. Things that we'd love to add in the future to our coverage to be able to talk about more Wisconsin sports. So,
hopefully, every one of our followers sends us $1,000 every day.
Milwaukee Wave and the Admirals, also perfect examples. The Milwaukee Admirals are something that their colors were incorporated in our original logo because that was something we wanted to be able to grow and be able to talk about. It's just with full-time jobs, 2 shows a week, we're trying. Hopefully in the future we can get to a point where we can do maybe 3 shows a week and have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday would be awesome, and be able to add some more stuff. And then who knows, maybe someday in the distant future we'll be doing shows every single day. So that's the hope. That's the growth that we get there.
Bob is here for it. I want you to cover the hockey badminton team.
Hey, Isaac, if, again, what Jake said stands, if all of our followers send us $1,000, we'll cover the Milwaukee badminton team, and we'll cover Drew Brees' pickleball team.
Well, maybe we can cover the Clippers for Isaac, so he has something to pay attention.
Oh, touche. Yeah. I mean, we'll cover him every time Giannis drops 50 on him.
We could do that. That's fun for us.
Yeah, I'm sure James would appreciate us covering Drew Brees' pickleball team.
I'm sure he would. We're not going to cover the goddamn Celtics, though. I'll tell you that.
Not unless they're losing in 6 to the Bucks, which they will be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
Pretty soon enough, buddy.
All right. So back to Tyler Wall. Now that we've gotten away on a tangent here, I'll say Tyler Wall. He's got the capability to, like, maybe he can fuck around and drop a triple-double. He's got the ability. Whether it happens or not is a different story.
True. But
he's got the capability. He's got the skills for it. Mm-hmm. Did you have any other thoughts you wanted to give on Tyler Wall before you went on your rant?
No, he just played well. He averaged a double-double this week, 10.5, 12.5 rebounds. He shot 47%. So that's pretty solid too for a guy that, is a little bit undersized, maybe not in college, but he's not like supersized or super long or anything like that. He's about average. I think he's below average for power forward, but he gets it done down low. I really just wish he had a mid-range game, because then he would absolutely kill people.
Right.
But other than that, he played great. My underrated performer, real quick, not to take up too much time, was Max Klesmit. He every once in a while he just has a game, and he had a really, really good game against Michigan. 19 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. He shot the hell out of the basketball, and he did not go. He was not scared of adversity. the brights were not too light for him, and that's the one thing that you could tell about Max is he's not afraid of a challenge, and I love that about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely love that about him. He steps up when there's a big challenge. You could tell the same thing with Connor. Connor doesn't really shy away from the bright lights.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little disappointed in Chucky. Every once in a while, it feels like Chucky feels more pressure on offense than he does defense. He's more of a defensive minded guy.
Yeah.
I think in the offseason, he has to work a little bit more on his playmaking.
Sure.
So once he figures out how to be a little bit more playmaker, and people are looking for that, then his shot will come easier. That's what I think the next level to him is. So, I mean, we'll get to that when we do our primer a long, long time from now. But that is my picks this week.
On your point about Chucky Hepburn, I do think that the confidence level affects that.
Yeah.
I do think he's a much more confident defensive player than he is an offensive player, and he's got game on offense. Like, there's no denying that. It's just I don't think he's quite as confident in that level and that aspect of his game.
I can agree with that.
Okay, so I had the same two power pair players. You mentioned a lot of good stuff with Tyler Wall. The thing with Connor Sejan, he averaged 20.5 points and 4 rebounds over the 2 games. He is on pace to be the first Badgers freshman to lead the team in scoring since 1996.
It's a long time ago.
Yes, that's almost as long as you and I have been here.
Yep. Yeah, my knees are creaking. So, yeah, it's a long time ago.
I did go with a different underrated performer. I went with Stephen Crowell. He did get in some foul trouble against Iowa, but he did finish that game 4 of 5 from the field, and he was 6 of 12 from the field against Michigan, including 2 of 3 from 3, which is something that we've been looking to see him bounce back on. So a good shooting week from Stephen Crowell, even though he dealt with some foul trouble issues. So I went with him as my underrated performer. Isaac said I get the confidence, but sometimes Chucky's hero ball at the end of games is costly. And that could be a confidence thing. Like, I get that he's, he's the guy, he's the go-to guy in those situations, or he has been, up until Connor Sejan got the last shot. What game was that? That him and Chucky were both struggling shooting, and Connor got the last shot.
God damn it.
I know. Look.
Was that Rutgers?
Rutgers.
No? Yep. I knew it.
Yeah, Connor got the last shot against Rutgers, but it comes down to shooting with confidence. So, those last shots, you obviously want to get good shots because then it's easier to be confident that it's going to go in when you have a good look at it. But I do think that the confidence is a factor. So let's start with the Iowa game. And what stood out to you from this game?
Well, the first thing that stood out to me is when they showed the Iowa splits from home and road, and they showed how awful Iowa is on the road.
Yikes.
And this is really ironic that I'm bringing this up now because they've just played Indiana in Indiana and absolutely smacked the living
Speaking of blowing kisses to crowds.
Dude, they whooped the hell out of Indiana in Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
Tough place to play.
Yeah.
So before I get into anything further, Fran McCaffrey, my God, dude.
Oh, man. I posted this on Twitter. I'm glad you brought it up because I posted it on Twitter. Like, Badgers fans have had their complaints about Greg Gard, but thank God we don't have fucking Fran McCaffrey as our coach.
My goodness. And I do not remember the name of the person that said it, but they commented, they shared the video too, and they said, how as a parent can you, and this, I'm referring to the incident that happened between Iowa and Michigan State, where he's literally just staring down the ref like, bro, do you understand that you look like my great-grandfather? Like, I'm not scared of you, dude. And, they just get closer and closer together, and it was like cringy, awkward.
It was awkward.
I was kind of watching it like I'm waiting for something to happen, right? And nothing happens. And anyways, the guy, he commented and he said, how can you watch this situation and be comfortable with him teaching your son, who's a boy basically at 18, you're not a man at 18, to turn him into a man? How can you feel okay with him being responsible for your son for 4 years? Because to me, when I get to that age, with Aiden, when Aiden gets to that age, and he's making a decision, and say I was looking at him, and Fran is still there, that's a hell fucking no for me. Not even because of the rivalry aspect. Like, if they're strictly the biggest school that's looking at him, I'm not doing that because I need to know that Aiden's going to have a leader in his life to teach him how to, to grow and be a man.
I would send my kid to a D2 school before I sent him to Fran McCaffrey.
100%. He's become nothing but a social media meme. 100%. What's your take? Oh, Shauna said, what's your take about if Chucky can't play, who takes his place? Wow.
Man, that's tough.
Tyler knows this answer. You just made a meme about it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'll adjust the same two comments. Isaac, he said he became nothing but a social media meme, and that's basically what it is. Like, you put a screen door in front of Fran McCaffrey, and it looks like he's about to yell at the ref to get off his lawn.
Yeah.
And Shauna, if Chucky can't play, who takes his place? I think it's Kamari McGee.
It's going to be by committee, but Kamari McGee.
Right. And the two guys, the other guy who I think would be in line for more playing time would probably be Isaac Lindsay.
Yeah. I think
he'd probably get a bump in playing time. Max Klesmit might get a little bit of playing time. He's not what I would call a strong ball handler, but I just think when it comes to distributing Chucky's minutes, I do think Max will probably take some more minutes. Jordan Davis would probably get a bump in minutes, and basically Kamari McGee would be your starting point guard, and Isaac Lindsay would probably be your backup point guard.
We'd be thin. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Be very thin. But
it's a good question. We didn't, I probably would have mentioned it when we get into what's next, but yeah, go ahead.
I will get back to this Iowa-Wisconsin game. Wisconsin was getting a lot of good shots. That's the first thing that I saw. Tyler Wall was absolutely everywhere. Obviously, he ended with 14 rebounds. And like we said before, he had 2 double-doubles this week. So the first of his 2 double-doubles. Iowa shot the ball horribly. I think that was a combination of, they were bad on the road, and the Badgers defense is very tough, especially at home. Iowa only had 8 assists for the whole game. Not that the Badgers blew them out of the water with 11, but 8 assists to 7 turnovers, that ain't it. They only had 30 rebounds. You get out-rebounded by the Badgers, that's pretty bad because the Badgers don't rebound the ball super well. And they shot 3 of 28 from 3. So that's pretty fucking bad. You add all that stuff together, and you're like, all right, well, and I want to say this. Iowa was actually getting good looks at 3-pointers too.
Yes, they were.
In the first half, they were getting really, really good looks. They just weren't falling. But you look at 3 of 28, and you're like, ugh. You look at 4 of 18, you're like, when compared to 3 for 28, I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it could clearly be worse.
It could be worse. So the Badgers played really, really good defense in this game. This was the old school Badgers win. We're going to hold them. We're going to make them shoot shots we're going to make them as uncomfortable as possible. We're going to run our offense. We're going to get good shots, and eventually the offense is just going to catch on, and we're going to win this game. And that's exactly what happened. Also, Iowa fans are gigantic babies. I don't know if you heard this. What the hell is the name of that podcast that douchebag went on? Oh, I mean scumbag. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I don't remember what the podcast was, but
it's like Round Ball or something.
Iowa, freaking McCaffrey's son went on there, and he talked, and he actually, I watched the whole video. He talked about Wisconsin too. He brought up Wisconsin as well, and he said they just do stuff that like you wouldn't do in pickup. And I'm like, my God, you sound like a whiny bitch right now. So
what does it even mean?
Like scratching and clawing, I guess, fighting for rebounds. I don't know. But literally after I watched that, you know what play happened right after that? I forgot the point guard's name, number 3 on Iowa. But he was trying to guard Tyler Wall, and that was the play where he flopped, where Tyler Wall did a spin move.
Was it Perkins?
That's his name, Perkins. I literally took that video, I shared it, and I said, you wouldn't do that in pickup. You just sound like a whiny bitch saying that, dude. Like, come on, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was
like, what does that even mean? You wouldn't do that in pickup? Like, we're not playing pickup basketball. We're playing college basketball.
Dude, I wanted to say that. I wanted to be like, are you really comparing D1 college basketball to basketball at the Y? Is that what you're talking about right now? Is that what you're talking about? Because it's not even close to the same thing.
Talking about just showing up to the park versus Illinois or Iowa and Wisconsin. Just showing up to play on some blacktop with
Millions
9
of
other dudes you've never met.
involved. Coaches are getting paid millions.
Oh
Universities
my
are making
God.
tons and tons of money selling merchandise. That's your comparison. You are a fucking idiot, just like your father. Sorry.
Yeah, that's oh God, like I hate to say it, but that's probably where the influence is there.
Not shocking, but
Oh man, that's tough.
cringy.
It's so oh my God, it's so cringy. All right. So Badgers got off to kind of a weird start. Stephen Crowell did have a great post-up move to start this game, working some footwork. He's getting a little bit of that Tyler Wall footwork going for him. Tyler Wall, despite having a very good game, did get off to a pretty rough start. He had a couple early turnovers. And, it's just something that needs to be just a little bit more mentally focused. Tyler Wall had a turnover on an inbounds after a made basket that led just directly to another layup for Iowa. The very next possession, they brought Stephen Crowell down to set a screen to get the guy open so that wouldn't happen again. Then Stephen Crowell gets one of the more puzzling offensive foul calls that I've seen. Even the announcers, which one of them was a former Purdue basketball player, Robbie Hummel, says, yeah, that should be a no call. Like, Stephen Crowell didn't lower his shoulder. He didn't trip or anything. He didn't do anything that was excessive contact. He's literally just backing down, and the dude just fell over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's, textbook no call in my opinion. But that still counts as a turnover. So the Badgers had 5 turnovers in the first 4.5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that was tough.
Carter Gilmore, his first 3, it was halfway down and popped out. So that's just a bummer for Carter Gilmore. I'd like to see some shots going for him. The broadcast did give him some love on his defense, so I was happy to hear that because we've done that on the show a bunch of times this season, is give Carter Gilmore some credit for his defense. Mm-hmm. The Badgers forced a shot clock violation that became Iowa's first turnover. That was how Iowa got their first turnover, was a shot clock violation forced by the Badgers. So you brought up that it's not just Iowa shooting poorly on the road. It is also that the Badgers defense makes a difference.
100%.
Connor Segan is showing some flashes of improved one-on-one defense. It's not, it's not 100% there yet, and he's a freshman, so I wouldn't expect him to come in and be perfect. But it is improving, which is the encouragement, like the encouraging thing of it. Mm-hmm. After the Badgers got that shot clock violation, Tyler Wall followed that with a behind-the-back drive. Took 2 dribbles, dribble behind his back to the left hand. That's the decisiveness that we've seen in the games where he succeeds. That's the decisiveness that we want to see instead of the back down dribbles and, putting up a hook shot where he's barely looking at the hoop. That decisiveness where he's like, I'm going to get here and I'm going to score. Like, that's the decisiveness from Tyler Wall that I want to see more of. That's where he succeeds, and that's where he has the 16-point game that he had against Penn State. Like, those are the types of things that I want to see from Tyler Wall. Marcus Ilver hit a nice back-to-the-back jumper that he had to put up right before the shot clock expired, so he hit a nice jump shot, so I want to give him a little shout-out for that. Oh, man. Tyler Wall, you brought up that he made some really good passes. He made a pass. It was from the top of the key, right outside the three-point line, and it was to a cutting Kamari McGee. It was basically like a screen and handoff, but instead of handing it off, Tyler Wall kept the ball, and Kamari McGee came open as he was going towards the basket. Tyler Wall hit him with a great bounce pass, went right off his hand and out of bounds. Mm-hmm. That's got to be a caught ball and a layup. The
back door is open this year.
I'm so glad you said that. Very next possession, they ran the same play with Connor Segan. Connor Segan caught the ball and laid it in.
It's been open all year. Connor's been open a fucking billion times.
True. So we get into a little bit of Chucky Hepburn. He started driving to the basket a lot. He didn't shoot very well from three, but he was driving to the basket a lot. And first time, he gets an assist to Connor Essegian. Second time, he gets a layup. And then the third time, Johnny Davis, haven't said that in a while. Jordan Davis, got a drive and hit a floater off the glass. So I don't know if it's Max Klesmit, if it's Chucky Hepburn, if it's Connor Essegian, or if it's Greg Gard that is getting more Badger players to attack the basket, but it is working.
Yes.
So, I don't think it's a coincidence that several Badgers players are all doing the same thing at the same time, and it's going well.
I mean, you could just take the Bucks, for example. The number of players that can dribble, drive, and break down a defense is an endless list. And we were calling for it for weeks with the Badgers. We don't have enough people that break down the defense. You're not going to get open jumpers just passing the ball around, throwing it in the post, throwing it back out. Eventually, you're not going to break down the defense all the time. They will stay sound. You need people to dribble and get into the middle, the soft spot of that defense and really break it down. And obviously, the offense has been better, in my opinion. It's been a little bit more smooth.
Yeah, I agree. And the movement has been better as well. It's at times where there's still, a couple guys were kind of running into each other a little bit, or some not so even spacing. So it's not perfect, but it has been better. I agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Second half, right before the second half, Wisconsin had 8 turnovers in the first half and still took a 1-point lead into halftime. That's obviously not a great place you want to be. And also, Stephen Crowell only played 5 minutes in the first half dealing with foul trouble.
Yeah.
So, Carter Gilmore, Tyler Wall, and Marcus Ilver for a little bit of stretches held down the defense while Stephen Crowell was dealing with foul trouble. So I want to give them credit for that. Second half, Stephen Crowell, just like the first half, opens up the half with a great post move and gets a score right away. Then ran a great pick and roll with Connor Essegian that got him a dunk, and then ran a great pick and roll with Chucky Hepburn that got him a dunk. Stephen Crowell is a very capable basketball player when he's doing the things that he needs to do. And it sounds dumb saying it that way, but Stephen Crowell has the capability, and it's right here, the beginning of this half, to be a very good basketball player. So, we talk about Connor Essegian and Chucky Hepburn being reasons to be excited for this program, but don't lose Stephen Crowell in this mix. He's only a sophomore.
Very true.
So don't lose Stephen Crowell in the mix of players who will continue to get better as they grow. So I wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out. Chris Murray didn't score until the 16:05 mark of the second half.
Bro, he shot a 3-pointer and clanked that shit in the second half. I was like, that man is uncomfortable.
That's Badger defense right there. You take their best player and you just say, yeah, no.
Yeah, you're not doing shit tonight, buddy. Sorry.
And he didn't. 16:05 mark of the second half before he scored. Jordan Davis played some very good defense on him.
He did.
Connor Essegian and Max Klesmit hit back-to-back corner threes. Chucky Hepburn hit another one to make it 3 threes in a row for the Badgers. Iowa was up 41-40, and the Badgers went on a 19-6 run. In my mind, that is arguably their most dominant stretch, sustained stretch of two-way basketball this entire season.
I don't think there's an argument. I agree with you.
To go 19-6, and now on a team that just beat Indiana.
Badgers a lot of times this year have been on the wrong end of long scoring stretches.
Yeah, they have. Connor Essegian finished with 17 points and 5 rebounds. Chucky Hepburn had 12, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. And Tyler Wall, like you said, had that double-double. Really, probably one of the best Badgers wins we've had this season, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see them get a double-digit win. And now we got to talk about it, obviously. Let's go to the Michigan game and what stood out from you, and we'll get to the end of the game situation after we talk about the rest of the game.
don't even know how to start this conversation. This loss really hurt, man. Just to get to the point. This one, if they would have won this one, I'm just going to play hypothetical. If they would have won this game and say they lost to Purdue and they would have beat Minnesota, I firmly believe that a win at Michigan, even though Michigan's been up and down there on the bubble as well, I think a win at Michigan and a win against Minnesota, winning 3 of their last 4, I think that would have been enough to put them in the tournament alone. Now I think that they have to win the last 2. If they win the last 2, it don't even matter what they do in the Big Ten tournament. I think if they win the next 2, they're in for sure.
Right.
But they played well enough to win this game.
Right.
The defense wasn't as fantastic as it was against Iowa. I didn't think that it would be, because the defense they played against Iowa was fucking elite. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? And the defense they played against Michigan was still very good, very high-level defense basketball. But Michigan has some shot makers, man. Michigan has a better team than Iowa on paper, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think that they're better on paper.
I think Iowa might be a little deeper.
God, here's a freaking question that just popped in my head. Whose coach do you hate more, Iowa or Michigan?
Honestly, it's probably Iowa.
Really?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
At the end of the day, like, Juwan Howard might be a dick, but at least it's because of competitive nature.
That's fair.
Fran McCaffrey might be a dick just because he's a terrible person.
That's also fair. That is a very good point. If anybody wants to play along.
If you want to play along with the who's a bigger dick, Juwan Howard or Fran McCaffrey game.
Which coach do you dislike more? Fran McCaffrey or Juwan?
Advocates for mental health and positivity question which head coach is a bigger dick, Fran McCaffrey or Juwan Howard?
I mean, it's a fair question.
Oh, shit.
I guess the one thing that I will say is our home and road splits have also not been great. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well in either game, so I can't really use it this week as an example. But for the entirety of the season, I mean, you can look at field goal percentage. We shot 52% versus Iowa, and we only shot 43% versus Michigan. That's a big disparity. Again, we didn't rebound the ball very well. I still think that we should be crashing the offensive boards. And we don't have a ton of playmakers, and that hurts us on the road. But Max Klesmit was a fucking man amongst boys this game.
Mm-hmm.
He was not afraid of the bright lights. He was going at it. Connor didn't have the greatest shooting game, but he still drops 24 in this game. The thing that really pisses me off, and I'm gonna wait for the rest of my argument till we get to the rest of the end of this game, but it couldn't have been a bigger douchebag that made the game time. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm going to let you have the floor, and then we're going to debate after it.
We'll talk about some specific instances as well, too, because I don't want to have the game be strictly about the person. But the Badgers started pretty solid offensively. All 5 starters had scored in the first 5 minutes and 14 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then Carter Gilmore had a really good seal after a switch, had a smaller man on him, had a good seal. He became the 6th player to score just a couple minutes into the game. The Badgers built an 8-point lead, 17-9. Michigan went on a 7-0 run. Stephen Crowell hit a 3, and then they went nearly 4 minutes without scoring, and Michigan went on a 17-3 run in that stretch.
Yeah.
So this is a situation where, yes, the Badgers lost a game they could have won. They also lost a game they could have gotten blown out in.
Very true.
They were down 11 in the first half. Max Klesmit hit a big 3 before the half. Michigan still ended the first half on a 26-10 run. Get into the second half. Connor Sejan, like I said, he's doing really well, I think, the last 4 or 5 games at getting closer to the basket. It's definitely good for his development for him to add that to his game and not just be put in a box as a 3-point shooter. That gives him that ability where, a team can't just sell out to jump and try to block his 3-point shot, but you have to close out, with your hands up and your feet down, because you need to close out because the threat of him driving to the basket is almost as dangerous as him shooting the three-pointer.
Yeah, a controlled closeout, I would say.
Right. So that's good for Connor Seaton's development to see him getting better at that.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan had their lead back to 10 after Chucky Hepburn got that flagrant foul. It's inadvertent, but he did hit him in the face, so that is a flagrant foul. It is what it is. It happens. Like I said, it happens. A couple plays later, Chucky Hepburn, it just looked like he kind of twisted his knee weird. Maybe it was just a weird cut. He just planted weird. And then he was grabbing his knee. He didn't come back into the game after that. And it's been what I've heard is an ankle injury, not a knee injury. So basically just call it like it is. It's a lower body injury for Chucky Hepburn, whatever it ends up being. Greg Gard has not made any concrete news on this. So we don't know what his playing status is for Purdue tomorrow night. But Shauna did ask us the question of who plays in his place if he can't go. And it's probably Kamari McGee to start in his place and Isaac Lindsey to back him up at point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Without Chucky Hepburn, it's tough defending. It's tough defending in the first place. Like Hunter Dickinson is a dick, but he's still big.
Yeah, he's massive.
And Carter Gilmore at 6'9" is just a little bit too small to be able to guard Dickinson. He did well the first matchup, pushing him around and having good positioning, but he's Dickinson's just a little bit too big for Carter Gilmore. And it's not Carter Gilmore's fault. It's just the Badgers just don't have like a bruising center this year like they had with Chris Vogt last year. And they could definitely use it tomorrow night, a guy like Chris Vogt going against Zach Edey, but that's we're here.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those things where, like, if the Badgers win that game, it's just that much sweeter.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to have to shoot the ball really well.
Yes. Max Klesmit, not once, but twice, hit a pump fake, sidestep dribble, three-point shot. He did it twice in the second half. The second one cut Michigan's lead to 2 points.
Yes.
Stephen Crowell had a move on Hunter Dickinson. He took a bump from him in the middle of the lane, still hit the left-handed jump hook over him. So Stephen Crowell showing off a little bit of toughness there. Tyler Wall threw a behind-the-back pass to Stephen Crowell that tied the game at 57. It felt like the Badgers were building some momentum there. Max Klesmit, if you saw the reel that we posted, had a great move to drive to the lane, spin like he was going to shoot a fadeaway in the middle of the lane, spun back, and got a left-handed layup. Just a fantastic move by Max Klesmit to score that game, to give the Badgers a 2-point lead, and then hit a three after Michigan had tied the game to give the Badgers a 3-point lead, and 2 clutch defensive stops by Max Klesmit. So in the stretch of about, 4 minutes or so, 5 points and 2 blocks for Max Klesmit. That's good stuff. That's great stuff from Max Klesmit. And here's where we get into it. So Greg Gard said that the Badgers were trying to foul on the initial possession by Michigan. So this was when there was 8.9 seconds left. That's when they were trying to get a foul. Kamari McGee was just too far behind his man to really get the foul call. Mm-hmm. Max Klesmit made the block on the corner 3. Now here's the thing. What do you do in that 2.1 seconds? What's your opinion? Like what's your thought strategy on that 2 second interval there? Like what do you try to do there?
So obviously hindsight is 20/20, correct?
Absolutely.
So for me, if you're Jordan Davis and there's still that contested catch, right? The pass was errant anyways. So he's going to have to catch it like that anyways.
Right.
I let him catch that. He's going to have to come down, because he's catching it with one hand. Right. That's when I foul. Because as soon as he touches the ball, that clock starts.
Right.
So then, you're going to that. You're getting at least a second off, right?
Right.
If you let him come down and catch the ball, you're getting at least a second off the clock.
Yeah.
Now you're at 1.1 seconds, right? So now you need a make and a miss to tie the game. That's what I would have done. I would have let him catch it, come down with it, and he didn't even, like I said, he didn't catch it clean. So with
Right.
me watching that and watching him catch it clean, once Davis, and I'm not, discouraged, because you never fault effort, right? That's what we
Right.
talk about all the time.
Right.
That's just an unwritten rule in sports. You never fault effort. I love his effort. I love his intensity trying to
Yeah.
tip that ball. But in that situation, if I'm the coach, and I don't believe, did we have one timeout left?
I'm not
I
sure off
think
the top of
I
my
think
head.
we did. I think we did have a timeout left. If that would have been the situation, I would have called timeout and I would have explained that exactly what I wanted.
Right.
Contest heavy, nothing to the back. Like if they go to the basket, let them go to the fucking basket.
Yep. Let him go to the basket.
Let them go to the basket.
Give
No
up a layup.
threes, no stupid fouls. That's what I would have done. No stupid while they're shooting fouls. If they shoot it,
Right.
let them go. But heavy contest and let them go to the rim, dude. Run them off the
Right.
line. I would have fouled him after he went to the ground. There's at least a second off the clock. And like I said, you're at about a 98% chance of winning that game at that point. It is what it is. He made the shot, miraculous shot. And sometimes those go in and he got a highlight and he got a win. But the likelihood of that happening is very small.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing. So in my mind, I'm in a slightly different camp, and I also want to play devil's advocate on your point.
Mhm.
So for me, I don't want to foul in that really small window, just on the chance because when he's catching the ball that he's going to be shooting. So I wouldn't want to get a foul there that gives Hunter Dickinson 3 free throws. That's my main concern is Hunter Dickinson catching the ball and getting 3 free throws. That would be my main concern. So, to your point, I agree with you on calling the timeout. And in that timeout, I say, hey, like you said, let them go to the basket. Let them get 2 points. 2 points doesn't help them in 2 seconds. But what I would say is, like you said, you don't fault effort, and I'm not blaming Jordan Davis for this. But you don't say, hey, unless you're 100% positive that you can get the steal, let him catch it and put your hands in his face. Make it as tough of a shot as possible because, in my opinion, I think the likelihood of him making a 40-foot contested heave three-pointer is lower than him making 3 free throws. And to the devil's advocate point, to your point on meeting a make and a miss, I think it's more likely that Michigan gets a chance at a make, a miss, and a tip-in than it is that Hunter Dickinson makes that shot if it's contested. And here's the reason. Michigan has some big bodies on their team. You brought up just a couple of minutes ago that the Badgers aren't the best rebounding team.
No.
And here's the thing. We've seen it twice on a tip-in rebound affect the outcome of a game in the last second with the Badgers this season. The Badgers have won one and lost one on that exact thing. They lost to Kansas on a rebounding shot in the last second being tipped in. And they beat Marquette doing the same thing.
It's fair. I think the Kansas one is a little bit outlier because it was still really early in Connor's career, and he was the one responsible for boxing him out.
Well, and it was an air ball too, so
so
it was a tough thing. But I'm just saying,
veteran play.
That's happened twice.
That's true. That's the nature of the Badgers, though. They play a lot of close games.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like I said, I mean, taking Hunter Dickinson shooting a contested 40-foot shot versus 3 free throws or needing a make and a miss and a tip in, I'll take the contested 3.
The fact that he made it is just super annoying.
And here's the thing. This is the thing we need to talk about. And I saw Michigan fans acting like it wasn't intentional. That he tried to stomp on Tyler Wall.
He clearly tried to stomp on and he tried to kick him afterwards.
And he tried to sweep the leg after he fell.
Really, bro?
I don't know how you can defend it. And I said this must be a Michigan thing to go full Ndamukong Suh and clearly try to stomp on him.
Clearly.
You don't do a high knee to the chest because you're running. Nobody runs like that in a game.
And I saw somebody say, Tyler Wall fell over, and that made him fall over. Okay, I've seen a lot of people fall, and like I get it. Like if he was trying to actually step over, but like when I fall and I see something below me, I try to move my foot away from the thing that's under my foot.
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but I usually don't try to step on something when I'm falling.
Especially if it's a fucking person.
I try to step on a level, level ground so I can regain my balance, not try to stomp on a human being like you just said. Like, what the fuck, man?
For him to be the person that threw the first stone by calling Wisconsin scumbags and then to go do some shit like that, like, really?
Yeah,
really?
That's some bullshit for sure.
Let's say you're in a position where Hunter Dickinson might actually get drafted. I don't think he's going to, but let's say there's some teams in the 55 to 60 range looking at Hunter Dickinson, and they say, we got this guy and Hunter Dickinson. Who should we pick? And then you start bringing in fringe things that affect your drafts, like character. And you go, oh, this guy called a team a bunch of scumbags and then tried to stomp on that same team.
Yeah. Like not like literally, like the legitimate term of stomp on somebody.
Yeah.
Not like figuratively, like beat their ass, like in the scoring,
No, yeah. Literally, like raise his knee and push his leg down to stomp on somebody.
Man, he put power behind that too. God damn.
And then, like you said, after he fell, kicked his other leg, that if somebody would have been standing there, he would have kicked them too. Or if Tyler Wall would have rolled over, he would have kicked them.
I wish it would have been a ref. I really wish it would have been a ref. Like, not that I'm like cheering for injury or anything like that, but just so he could get caught being a douche,
Yeah. No, he got caught in 4K. Like we saw it happen.
Well, everybody but Michigan fans, apparently.
Right. Yeah. Well, remember they tried to defend Juwan Howard, saying that the Badgers said something to him first, and that's what made him swing.
Yeah, and slap our assistant coach in the head. Yeah. I mean.
All right. So overtime, it's the Badgers' 6th overtime game. Michigan, to their credit, were hitting their cross-court threes. Badgers were doubling in the post, and Michigan was swinging the ball across quickly, and they were making those three-pointers. Wisconsin's shot selection got a little iffy in overtime, and they just kind of ran out of juice. It didn't look like necessarily they ran out of energy, but they ran out of juice, and there's a difference. It's like the mojo of the game. The Badgers, they just kind of ran out, and it's tough, but that's what happens when you're not quite a super deep team. Those overtime games, those are heavy.
I agree.
You mentioned Connor Essegian finished with 24 points and the 3 rebounds. Max Klesmit had his Badger high with 19 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Stephen Crowell had 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Tyler Wall, another double-double, 10 points and 11 rebounds. Where we're at with the Badgers, they play Purdue tomorrow night, and they play at Minnesota on Sunday. I'm going to say a 2-0 week because the Badgers can't settle for anything less. That's where I'm at with the Badgers.
I'm just going to tell you, both games are on FS1 as well because the Badgers are basically fighting for their lives, as Tyler just said. I'm also going to go with a 2-0 week. We're going to shock the world tomorrow night. We're going to beat Purdue. We're going to be doubling Edey. The guards for Purdue are going to struggle to shoot. Klesmit and Connor are going to come out, be freaking on fire, both of them, because we need it. And the time is now. People, Badgers fans are always complaining. It's like, you guys are going to understand that, like, as a competitor, like just me personally, as a competitor, I would fucking love an opportunity to be on that court, dude. Just for the opportunity that is presented, man. Like,
absolutely,
it's do or die, man. Like if that doesn't get the damn juices going, like if this team is not jacked up and ready to play, like this is our lives on the line. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You got no heart, you got no soul. But like, this is, as a competitor, this is what you fucking live for. So like, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
Absolutely,
and I hope they're ready.
Absolutely, and I love that, and that's something that with the Matty Baddies thing that they've prioritized that teamwork aspect of it, and that's something that Connor Essegian actually talked about when he was on a radio show the other day. Was that teamwork aspect and that camaraderie that they have and the chemistry, like that's what's going to show tomorrow. If you're talking about Zach Edey versus the Wisconsin Badgers, that's what we're talking about. So seeing guys flying around tomorrow, Like you said, it would be awesome to be on the court for it, and I strongly agree with you. That's where your back's against the wall, and it's time to go prove that you are a competitor.
It's time. This is why you lace them up, right?
Absolutely. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. So we both got 2-0 weeks. And again, if you don't believe that the Badgers are capable of going 2-0, you don't have to believe in it to support it, because the chances might not be great that it happens, because Purdue is ranked number 5 in the country, but the chances aren't 0.
And Zach Edey's one of the best players in the country. Like, let's
Right.
not tiptoe around that. He's, first of all, a gigantic human being. What is he, 7'4", right? I believe he's 7'4".
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He's 7 and really, really extra tall, right? And even Steven Crowell, who's the biggest player on our team, is going to look like a child next to him,
right?
In one-on-one. But if Crowell can step up, and that's a big if, and I don't like playing ifs because it's such a it's crazy to play ifs in sports.
It's not an exact science.
But if he can play defense and play some one-on-one defense for a couple possessions, because I think we're going to have to double them. Right. If he can play some one-on-one defense and really just lock down, that'll go really, really far to telling how this game is going to play out.
Absolutely. So the other thing you mentioned was Steven Crowell. Look for the Badgers to maybe try to get Zach Edey in some foul trouble.
That would be nice. Both games are at home, I believe, which is...
No, they're at Minnesota.
They're at Minnesota. That's right. We played them at home already.
Yep, Purdue at home, at Minnesota.
Purdue at home. So that's a recipe for success, if you ask me. At the very least, if there's a silver lining, is we are in Madison versus Purdue at Minnesota, who is horrible. They call it the barn. They probably call it the barn because all their women look like pigs anyways. So here we are.
Shots fired.
I had to, bro. They always go at Wisconsin. It's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this. Put some respect on us, man.
All right. So you got anything else Badger related?
No. I'm ready to talk some Milwaukee Bucks, though.
As am I. So give me your Bucks power pair and underrated performer, and I will be right back. But give me your power pair and underrated performer. I know we have the same 2 power pair guys, so
yes.
I will be right back.
All right, so my power pair, I'm very excited to talk about these Bucks games here. Bucks obviously are on a long winning streak. We have a stat for that. We're going to start a tracker for everybody at home. But the power pair that I have is Brook Lopez and Jrue Holiday. And I have a question later that Tyler does not know about, and I'm going to put him on the spot, so wait for that as well. Brook Lopez is just this guy. I don't know what happened. He met Iron Man or something, but he clearly got the most successful back surgery of all time. He got vibranium in his back. I don't know what happened. The guy looks like he's in his mid-20s again, moving around. He's the best paint protector in the league, in my opinion. If you add contested shots, block shots, his ability to play drop coverage and not allow guards to attack and kill us. But he averaged 17 and 10 this week. He shot 50%. He didn't shoot the three-pointer amazing, but he did end the week plus 22. Jrue Holiday, I'm running out of things to say about Jrue Holiday, how crazy good he is. He averaged 23 points, 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists. He shot 60% from the field and 45% behind the arc. He ended the week at a plus 40.
Damn.
God damn. That's what I'm saying. And
that's awesome.
This guy is becoming one of my favorite players. And I'm going to speak for you. I think he's one of your favorite players already. Absolutely. Or he's becoming. But Javon Carter, his impact goes beyond the stat sheet. And This is where I think that we separate ourselves from a lot of people. When he comes into the game, he plays a completely different pace than Jrue Holiday does, or even when Chris Middleton is handling the ball.
True.
When he comes in, he's a little bit more twitchy, a little bit more side to side. On defense, I do think that everybody is great on defense on this Bucks team. That's definitely their identity. But Carter just is another tick.
He's got the dog in him.
He definitely has some dog in him. Where Jrue is like a technician, right? He understands positioning. He understands how to get over screens. He knows the guys that go over, go under. He understands the angles of basketball.
Absolutely.
And his pure strength just allows him to be just the greatest on-ball defender in the game today. in my opinion. I don't care if you call it biased. But Javon Carter is just 100 miles per hour. He is perfect for a backup point guard role.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy he's on our team. And I'm so happy he had a 3 yesterday against Brooklyn and he was barking. And I was like, you have your moment, Javon. You have your moment. But he averaged 9 and 4. He didn't shoot the ball crazy good this week. But like I said, his impact goes beyond the box score. But he still ended the week at a plus 18. He was plus 18 last night as well. So he ended the week at a plus 18. So those are my 3 picks. What do you got, buddy?
I also have Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez. In addition to the 17 and 10, Brook Lopez also averaged 2 blocks per game.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Drew Holiday's assists. Drew Holiday averaged only 1.7 turnovers over the last 3 games.
That's crazy because he was pissing me off in the first quarter last night, man. I'm not gonna lie. He had 2 horrible passes.
Yeah, to Giannis, both of them.
Drew, you put it. Yeah, I was
only 1.7 turnovers in the last 3 games. That's fantastic for Drew to be cutting his turnovers down.
Impressive. And he's shooting the ball better. He is overall improved.
And I don't think this is outlandish to say, but I think Drew Holiday is having his best season in a Bucks uniform.
Oh, easily. Not even. Every time I hear that, because they talk about that all the time on the pregame and postgame, and you hear fans talk about it all the time and like posts and stuff everywhere. I want to look up his stats and I want to compare, his career highs and just make a post out of that because this honestly, when you look at the totality of everything, and this is definitely the best roster he's been on. Like,
definitely.
Not even close. This is definitely the best Bucks roster we've ever seen in our lives. I would like to ask people that were old enough to watch the Bucks in the 80s, because obviously we're not old enough to do that.
Right.
I would love to see their opinion on if this is the best Bucks roster they've ever seen in their lives. I think that could be an interesting debate. Although those 80s teams had some really good players like Terry Cummings and Sidney Moncrief, and they had a lot of really good players back then as well. But I would like to know the answer to that. But Drew Holiday, I think this is his best year of his career. Straight off the dome, I'm going to say that.
I think he had a couple of years in New Orleans where he was averaging like 21 and 8. So like right now he's around like 19 and 8. So he's really close to it. But definitely his best season in a Bucks uniform, and definitely worth comparing to the rest of his career as potentially one of his best career years.
I agree.
So my underrated performer has the same initials as yours, JC. I went with Jay Crowder, new to the team. He averaged 6 points a game. It isn't going to blow the doors off, but that's why it's an underrated performer, because the guy who only scored 6 points a game. However, the 6 points that he scored against Phoenix were massive 6 points.
True.
Part of the huge comeback by the Bucks and the late minutes of that game, those 2 threes were just seriously, just absolutely massive in that comeback. And that place was loud when he was hitting them, because I was at that game, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But
I can't wait for you to have your shining moment, man. I can't wait.
I don't want to give too much away, but I did give Jay Crowder a fist bump before the game.
That's why he's still.
I don't want to claim credit for it, but I did give him a fist bump. So I mean, take that for what it's worth. He shot 60% from the field, 66.7% from the 3-point line, and he had the 3rd highest average plus minus in the 3 games, behind only Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton.
I like that. I have something to say after the Suns game. I have something to say about Jay Crowder, so remind me.
Okay. All right, let's start with last Friday's game against the Miami Heat. Giannis was okay to go with the wrist. He wasn't even taped up like he was for the All-Star game. He had a knee injury, and he got kneed in the hamstring area, and had a right quad contusion. So people getting mad that Budenholzer was playing him when he wasn't 100%. It was different injuries, not the same injury. It's not like Giannis banged up his wrist in this game, and they shouldn't have played him at all. His wrist was fine. He got hit, a knee-to-knee contact, and had a leg bruise. So completely unrelated injuries for people that live and love to complain about Mike Budenholzer. But anyways, what stood out to you from last Friday's game against the Heat?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is thank you for covering the Giannis news. all of his injuries have been on the right side of his body.
Yep.
Which is weird.
I heard them talking about that last night, and it's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's when I heard it. What was it, Zora? I don't know if it was Zora or if it was Lisa.
I think it was Lisa Byington that said it.
She brought it up, and I was just like, sure shit, you're not lying. That's a good stat here. First of all, the Bucks bench. Holy shit, dude.
Yes.
We scored 56 points off the bench. The Heat scored 42 of their 99, which is not a good ratio. That means your starters were horrible.
Yeah.
But with Giannis leaving so early in the game, I'm not going to lie to you, and you can call me a liar if you want, but I was not worried at all. Seeing how the Bucks started this game with the ball movement, the energy level of this team, Everybody was moving, everybody was cutting, everybody was talking on defense. Bobby came right in, his first game since January 23rd, by the way. He ended this game with his 30th double-double in 48 games. That's a high ratio for a guy coming off the bench, by the way.
Basically 2/3 of his games.
That is
32 out of 48 would be exactly 2/3.
Yeah, that's not normal, by the way, so don't take him for granted as well. I brought that up because Giannis answered a question last night about people taking him for granted. Don't take this team. Don't take Brook Lopez. Don't take a Chris Middleton. Don't take a Drew Holiday. Don't take any of these players for granted because this is a fantastic team. And one thing I wanted to point out, fantastic coaching staff, top to bottom.
Absolutely. Good call.
They need their flowers too, man. Bud is calling all the right shots, doing all the right substitutions. I think they're handling the Chris Middleton injury absolutely perfectly. I don't think it could be done any better. I don't know if there's a more well-oiled machine in the NBA. Obviously, we're going to talk about this during a 15-game win streak, which is insane, right?
Right.
But the way that this team has handled everything up to this point, I mean, Giannis has missed, 11 or 12 games. Chris Middleton's missed 40-plus games. Drew Holiday's missed 10-plus games. I mean, we can go down the list of players that have missed games, but that's your main three, right? Those three people combined have missed over 70 games, and the Bucks have not missed a beat. Currently now the best record in the NBA.
Yep.
Taking that back from the Celtics, which this year, this year's different than prior years because the Celtics are right there with us. I'm not going to be biased about that.
Right.
I do think that home court advantage will be key. It was key last year in our playoff series, so I would love a Game 7 if it happened in Milwaukee. That would be big.
Yep.
But the last thing I'm going to say before I hand this off to you is this was the biggest victory of the season so far for the Milwaukee Bucks, and it happened at the hands of a pretty good Miami Heat team. So,
all right. You mentioned, and I want to touch on this because it ties into a couple of things that I have written down. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that when Giannis went out that you weren't worried about the game.
No.
And initially hearing something like that, it's like, oh, okay, that's a take. But what I noticed was first, we got Jay Crowder and Myers Leonard's Bucks debuts and Bobby Portis back. So, and I'm not saying that you can just make up for Giannis, but I mean, you're essentially getting a 3-for-1 by Giannis leaving early, but also getting one guy back from injury and two new acquisitions out on the floor. Obviously, if you can put all three guys into one and have Giannis, I would still take that. But you get into Grayson Allen, started 2 for 2 from the 3-point line. Bobby scored an and one on his first possession. Chris Middleton scored on his first possession and got an assist on the second one. Bobby Portis, at the 3-minute mark of the first quarter, had 8 points and 0 misses.
He was balling, bro. He had a turn fade, and I was like, oh, shit, Bobby's back.
And then Chris Middleton, on his third offensive possession, walked into a dribble pull-up 3-pointer.
Yeah, everybody was firing on all cylinders, dude.
And then Jay Crowder hit a 3 for his first 3-pointer that was also assisted by Chris Middleton. So we're getting closer to full-strength vintage Chris Middleton. We're getting closer. And this win streak has allowed the Bucks to bring them on, or allowed them to bring him on more slowly. Mm-hmm. They're not forced to put him back in the starting lineup, because they need wins. They're winning while they're bringing a guy back from injury. So they have the luxury of being able to continue to start Pat Connaughton, who didn't play in this game. So that's worth mentioning too. No Pat Connaughton in this game. And the Bucks still were able to get a big win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this made me laugh because I think it was either Drew or Chris that threw the pass into the paint because Brook Lopez had a mismatch, and the pass got tipped, and Brook Lopez went up and tipped it back to himself, got a layup, and scored an and one. And Marcus Johnson said one of the more questionable things on the broadcast after Brook Lopez caught the and one, and he said size matters.
Oh, come on, man. He did that shit on purpose, bro. Don't let him lie to you. He did that on purpose.
I'm just sitting here watching the replay and just giggling away. Oh my, oh Jesus, Marcus. He did give credit on the next possession for AJ Green for staying vertical on Miami, driving in transition. So that's good on him, and good on Marcus for giving him credit for it. Mm-hmm. Javon Carter picked Bam's pocket, missed the layup, but Bobby Portis was there to get a tip slam. Bobby Portis just really all over the place.
That was a sick play.
Myers Leonard checked in with 7:37 to go in the second quarter. He really did a lot for the Bucks in this game. Running the pick and roll, he's running to the rim after setting the screens. He can step out and shoot. He sprung Joe Ingles for an open three. And I posted this as another reel that I had shared was Myers Leonard defending a Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo pick and roll very well by staying in that perfect spot in the middle where Jimmy Butler could try to force a pass, but it'd have to be perfect, or to shoot a contested mid-range jump shot, which is the shot that the Bucks want to give up. And he stayed in the perfect positioning for Drew Holiday to be able to get back to his man. And the play did result in a foul, but Myers Leonard needed the credit there for defending the pick and roll very well. For the fact that the Bucks have been the best defensive team since January 1st, and Miami to be the second best defensive team since January 1st, and the Bucks to hang 73 points on them in the first half, we're in scary hours because they did that without Giannis.
Dude, I was just gonna say, dude, we were killing them without our best player. That should scare people. It should, especially Celtics fans who want to whine about the power rankings. Who gives a shit about power rankings, dude? There, buddy. Am I frozen? Are you frozen? Are we both frozen?
I'm not frozen. You're frozen.
Am I frozen? Sorry.
Anyways, you said not caring about power rankings. I said I care about winning in May and June.
Agreed.
Second half, Drew Holiday started taking over offensively. Bobby Portis was looking great. Brook Lopez and AJ Green hit back-to-back threes early in the fourth quarter, and the fourth quarter just kind of turned into a three-point contest that the Bucks won. AJ Green's second three that he hit was like 4 feet behind the three-point line. So AJ Green's just out here shooting JJ Redick threes. And the Bucks just kind of ran away with it. Drew Holiday, 24 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. Bobby Portis, 18 points and 11 rebounds. Brook Lopez, 17 points and 7 rebounds. Chris Middleton, 17 minutes, 12 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Chris Middleton's going to give you 26 and 6 once he's back to playing 30 minutes a game.
As long as it still means W's, I don't give a shit.
Absolutely. Jay Crowder played 16 minutes. He had 9 points and 3 rebounds. Myers Leonard played 15 minutes. He had 5 points and 6 rebounds. Mm-hmm. Grayson Allen scored 16 points. AJ Green had 6 points and 4 assists. I mean, the Celtics are a deep team, but let's quit fucking around. The Bucks are the deepest team in the NBA.
Yeah, dude, we can literally we're just going to be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to throw a couple rookies at you. We'll let them score 10 on you.
We're really at a point where we can let a young developmental player go seek other options because he's not going to play for the team.
Yeah, and he was just one of the best G League players in the NBA. Mm-hmm. He was just in the G League All-Star game. So I mean, we're doing okay.
So let's go to the Bucks Suns game. I'm going to go first on this one because I was in attendance, and it was really cool because my oldest daughter, she got to be part of the Delta Dental starting lineup, so she got to be in the 2 lines on each side that the starters come through. So she got to high five all the starters and got to be courtside for the warm-ups, which was super cool. So if you have young kids, sign them up for the Delta Dental starting lineup. It was awesome. Like they treated us really well. We got some free food in between. Like it was just an awesome experience for me, my wife, my dad, and both of my daughters to go and have that experience. So if you have kids, sign them up for the Delta Dental starting lineup. It was awesome. And the Bucks are awesome for hosting that and for having good people. The guy that I was in contact with for it was great as well. So definitely thank you to the Bucks for that. It was a really cool experience to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, got a great game.
Yeah, you were at a fantastic game.
And another no Giannis game. Like, obviously, the Suns didn't have KD, but Bucks didn't have Giannis. So, call it even.
Call it even.
Bobby Portis, 4 really quick points. Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday were doing a good job defending Devin Booker to start this game. He started 0 for 6 and had Grayson and Drew Holiday on him. So, good job by those two. Phoenix was kind of controlling the rebounds in the first quarter. I'm not going to lie. They had 8 offensive rebounds in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. Myers Leonard, like I said, giving the Bucks good minutes. He was hitting threes, running the pick and roll well on both ends. And I bring this up because I'm going to talk about it in the second half. But Phoenix, their big men were hitting their mid-range shots. And I'm bringing this up because it's an adjustment that was made in the second half. Bucks were 4 of 13 on threes in the first quarter, kind of a rough start. But the Bucks were able to open an 11-point lead in the second quarter. Phoenix closed the gap when the Bucks' three-point shooting slowed down, but they were still running the pick and roll very well. Something that I think is underrated part of their games, and I'm going to talk about it more when we get into last night's game too. But Brook Lopez started 0 for 3 from the three-point line, but then he caught one just inside the three-point line, and he took a dribble and 2 steps back and hit a 3, and he just let out a yell. Like he knew he had to get one to go in, and he got it, and it was good for him. Second half, these are the adjustments that I'm talking about, and this is where if you want to call Budenholzer a bad coach, you're welcome to do so. But the fact of the matter is, it's just false. It's literally just false. And to your credit, you brought up one of the biggest adjustments that was made when the Bucks won the finals from the first 2 games to the next 4 was defending the Suns' three-quarter court and full court. That's an adjustment that they made, and credit to you for calling that out. The adjustments they made in this game were limiting offensive rebounds and dropping in the pick and rolls instead of higher shows.
Mm-hmm.
So they were intentionally giving up those floaters to Chris Paul or forcing guys to either take some mid-range or try to force them out of passes instead of giving the big men open looks in the paint.
They would have killed us if we didn't adjust.
So they made those 2 adjustments. Drew Holiday started catching fire, hit Grayson Allen for an alley-oop, which was awesome to see.
Yeah.
Seeing Grayson Allen get up. Some pretty questionable whistles late in the third quarter. Like Joe Ingles getting a foul call for literally just like tapping Chris Paul, and for that to be called a push, like, really?
I hear you.
It is what it is. It was a 1-point game after the third quarter. Suns took a 76-75 lead. Drew Holiday was keeping the Bucks in the game, while the Suns' lead was kind of fluctuating between 4 and 6 points. But 5:47 to go in the game. Phoenix is leading 94-86. Like, it's getting to do or die time. The Bucks outscored the Suns 11-2 to get the lead back. That's where 2 of those Jay Crowder threes happened. It was absolutely massive threes by Jay Crowder. Brook Lopez had 2 big blocks. One of them on Devin Booker, one of them on DeAndre Ayton. And Holiday broke Josh Okogie's ankles to hit a 3. That was a sweet play. Like, the stadium when that happened was just nuts. Like, just like, hearing 18,000 people all do that at the same time was awesome. Phoenix went 3.5 minutes without a field goal until Booker tied the game at 11 or at 100.
Yeah.
So
that was a crazy shot he had to make too.
That was a tough shot, and yeah, credit to him. That was a tough shot.
Yeah, Really good defense, but good offense beats good defense.
Yes, true. Chris Middleton and Brooke Lopez ran a pick and roll, perfect pick and roll. Chris Middleton with a pass to Brooke Lopez for a layup that gave the Bucks a 102-100 lead. The Bucks finished this game on a 19-7 run.
Oh, wow.
So they had that 11-2 run to get the lead back, 19-7 to close it out.
I don't want to undersell the pass because it was a very good pass, perfect pass. Middleton rose up like he was going to shoot it, which hey, we've seen him make that a million times, right?
Right.
But for him to pass that and for Brooke Lopez to have the soft hands to, one, catch it in traffic, and two, make that layup with a guy like Ayton. And Ayton's not like fantastic, but he's also not a bum.
Still big.
He's still big. He was still a number one pick, and he's still a good player.
Yep.
But for Brooke Lopez at 35 with his vibranium back to make that, I was like, oh my God. Like when you saw the replay and they showed a replay on TV and it was like the top of the backboard shot that they always show.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw how little space he had to catch it and make it. I was like, well, damn, Brooke. Just a great roll. Good on him. That's all I'm going to say about that.
What stood out to you for this game? I won't do all the totals, but what stood out to you from the game? I'll wait until you talk to give those out.
All right. Well, you covered the main stuff, so I'm just gonna add my little tidbits here. One, the Bucks are now 5-0 when Brooke Lopez has at least 20 and 10. So
let me give you this one, just while we're on the subject. The Bucks are now 6-0 when Drew Holiday scores 30 points.
Yep, I was gonna say Tyler's gonna have the stat for Drew Holiday. So literally. I put like dashes, and then I put like a little side dash underneath it. And I was like, Tyler's going to have the stat about Drew Holiday because I know you covered that before. So then I want to talk about something that they talked about on the pregame show last night. And I'm glad you brought up Marcus Johnson before because he calls it the Mensa lineup.
Yeah, he was talking about that last night.
Yes, he was talking about it. And for anybody that wants to know, that's Brooke, Drew, Bobby, Chris, and Joe Ingles. And they played a total of 15 minutes between the Suns and Heat game to end the games. Here's the stats that they showed on the television, right? This is credit to Bally Sports Wisconsin for coming up with this. Offensive rating, 106.5. Defensive rating, 84.4.
That is clamps, bro.
Yeah.
That's absolute clamps.
Yes.
For reference, like Giannis is like one of the best in the NBA at defensive rating. He's at like 107. For a team to have an 84 defensive rating, that's absurd.
That is absurd.
People were complaining that Bobby Portis wasn't involved in that, but you can't argue with the results. You can't. 84, bro. No. 84 points per 100 possessions. That's what that means.
I know.
Oh. 84.
Then you take the opponent efficient field goal percentage, 42%. The net rating is a plus 22 in 15 minutes.
That'll do.
Okay, that'll do. So just wanted to add that in there. I think Brooke Lopez, I don't think he gets enough love.
Yeah, I agree.
Brooke Lopez is fucking amazing, dude. The guy can literally drop 30 on you and still block 5 shots. I mean, it's impressive. He can go out there. He can have a 10 to 15 rebound game if he really wanted to. I mean,
he had 13 against the Suns.
Yeah, all those people. Yeah, I know he did. All those people complaining about his lack of rebounding. They don't understand that's part of the game plan. Is he just boxes people out like, hey, big guy, you go over there. I'm going to let this guy who can do a fast break by himself grab it and go in 3 dribbles.
And dunk on your team.
Like he did a bazillion times last night. Dude, I was like, so Giannis just wanted to make up for all the dunks he missed in the last 2 games in one game. But we're going to get there in a sec. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Brooke Lopez because that guy is phenomenal. He is going to be in my question I'm going to ask later, so keep that in mind. But yeah, let's go to Bucks Nets, buddy. Whenever you're ready.
Hold on, I'm gonna drop the totals, and I want to touch on one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
To your point about Brooke Lopez, he does give the Bucks a big 4 at times. It really feels that way.
He does.
So I gave you the Drew Holiday stat. He had 33 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. Brook Lopez had the 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Chris Middleton, 4 assists away from a triple-double. 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Bobby Portis had 10 and 6. I don't know how often this has happened and like the amount of box scores I'd have to sift through to possibly even find it. But the Bucks had a 33, a 22, and an 11 scorer. They had 3 double number scorers.
That's kind of weird, kind of cool. I kind of like
it's
it.
Just a super weird thing that I noticed looking at the box score after the game. I'm like, oh, they had a 32 or 33, 22, and 11. 3 doubles. Huh.
I kind of like it. Now, if they had Giannis, they'd have a 44.
Oh, dude. If they do that, like, just call it.
Just call it.
I mean, that would mean, assuming that it's, say Giannis scores 44, Chris scores 33, and Drew scores 22. I mean, that's 99 points from 3 guys.
Think about it. I mean, that's definitely possible. That's not
and 110 from if you add the 11-point score in it.
That's possible. I could see it.
Do you imagine those 4 give the Bucks 110 and then throw Bobby Portis' double-double, 10 points from Grayson Allen, 8 points from Connaughton, 8 points from Crowder, 8 points from Carter, 6 points from Ingles, 6 points from AJ Green, and a Wesley Matthews quarter buzzer beater 3 on top of all that?
Yeah, man, I'm mad you brought up West because I was going to bring him up. I was going to be like, dude, we don't even have one of our best defensive players in West, man.
So the last thing I wanted to say with Bucks and Suns is it was a weird day for free throws. Yeah. And I don't know if it was because it was a noon tip, and that's kind of a weird time to have a game. But Brook Lopez, who's like an 84% career free throw shooter, missed 2 free throws. Chris Paul and Chris Middleton each missed a free throw. Chris Middleton's only missed 4 free throws the entire season up until this game. Devin Booker is a great shooter. He was 5 for 9 from the free throw line in this game.
Late in the game, when he missed those free throws late in the game, I was like, whoa. I was shook, bro.
It was a weird game for free throws.
I agree. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't.
All right, let's get into Bucks Nets. Last night's game, what stood out to you?
Oh, God. The game last night was weird, in my opinion. So the first thing I'm going to point out is I love that Drew Holiday started this game early looking for teammates. He was trying to be a facilitator starting early. By the 7:50 mark in the first quarter, all 5 starters scored.
Nice.
I love that.
Nice.
I'm going to point out, there's a couple things I'm going to point out here. I have a little list here. Chris had a and one. Immediately the next possession, he comes down and has a disgusting left-handed bounce pass with Bobby Portis for an and one. I got off the couch and I was like, let's fucking go!
That was so dirty for him to throw that pass so the dude has his back turned and it just goes right under his hand.
And Bobby was kind of guarded, dude. That was a nasty pass.
Yeah.
The Bucks took back the lead at 85-84, and that was in the third.
Yep.
That was their first lead since the game was 5-4. The Nets really controlled the game. They were Mikal Bridges. I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to be a superstar, but the guy definitely has potential to be like a really good number 2.
I love Mikal Bridges.
Love Mikal Bridges. Cam Johnson's a good player as well.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, if he was a little bit more, if he had dog in him, like because he doesn't have dog, he's a soft big guy.
Yeah,
he's like a modern big where he just stays on the perimeter. If he had more dog in him, he would fucking kill, dude.
He'd be a problem.
Because
if he beefs up a little and applies himself on defense, like he'll be a problem.
Because he actually has a nice handle for getting to the rim.
Yeah, and he was cashing threes.
Very good touch. Yes. He could turn into a very good player. The Nets in a couple of years could be winners of that trade, depending on how their draft picks go out.
Right. Well, and if Phoenix wins a title, like obviously they're not going to be mad about it.
True.
But real quick on your Mikal Bridges point, like Mikal Bridges, honestly, probably for both of us, probably in our top 3 favorite players not on the Bucks.
off the top of my head, I'm going to say yes. Since he's been traded, I've seen him in more of like NBA like reels and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And his personality, he just seems like a guy. He seems like
Yeah.
a normal dude, and I'm okay with that. And I love that video where he said his favorite player growing up was Kevin Durant. I was like, of course it was. Of course it was.
He was second defensive player of the year last year too. So like
Yeah.
he's a good two-way player. That was a good get for the Nets for sure. The other guy we didn't mention in the first game this week, like I would say is probably at the top of the list for both of us too, is Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, I love Bam. Bam is a freaking stud. He's really, really improved his mid-range game.
Yeah.
Which has opened up everything for him. He actually is a very underrated ball handler, especially for a center. He's more of a power forward, but he plays center, and it works out well for Miami.
Yep.
Especially now that they got Kevin Love. That's going to be a good marriage, I think. Sure. I think Kevin Love fits in really well next to Bam Adebayo. Bam can be a really good playmaker at the center position, but he also is more hunting for his own shot, which has turned him into a star. We know about his ability on defense. We know he can jump with the best of them. He can block shots and rebound. He's a really, really good player too. Miami's going to have to pay him a ton of money if they haven't already. I don't know what his contract looks like, but
I would take Bam Adebayo over DeAndre Ayton in a heartbeat.
Oh, dude, that's not even up for debate. Not even up for debate. I feel like Ayton is in the same class that I just said that Johnson is, where like Ayton could be such a problem for the league.
Sure.
There's not a lot of PJ Tuckers out there, right? Like
right.
PJ Tucker. No, I did not use the pizza oven. That's for a Packer episode. But PJ Tucker is not the most talented player in the NBA.
No.
By far, he's not even in the top 100 most talented players in the NBA. And I'm not trying to disrespect him. But you know what that motherfucker has? He has heart. He has one of these things kicking. So he takes pride in everything that he does. Every switch, every rebound, every shot.
He's 100%. There's no foot off the gas with PJ Tucker.
That's where the debate and this conversation is going a whole different direction. But I have a
point. We're just proving we're not homers right now. That's what we're doing.
That's the difference between Giannis and Anthony Davis.
True.
Anthony Davis talent level might be unmatched. I'm not even kidding.
Especially when you factor in the size.
Yeah, his length, his ball handling. I understand why people say that he's better than Giannis. But I'm telling you, the thing that they don't measure on the stat sheet is this thing right here. And Giannis talks all the time. He's going to give you everything he has. And physically, if he is able to put his shoes on and dribble a basketball, you can pencil that guy in for 20 and 10 every single night. Doesn't matter if it's a playoff game. Doesn't matter if it's the first game of the year, game 7 in the finals. You're going to get everything that he has. I don't feel like DeAndre Ayton has that. And I do feel that Bam Adebayo does.
So that's fair.
And that's where the difference is for me with them.
Mikal Bridges is the same way. He's played like almost 400 consecutive games.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
unheard of.
It's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When we talk about, players sitting out games and all that shit because of rings has become such a big discussion. But yeah, man, Bam Adebayo is a monster. He's definitely my top 3. I don't have to think about that. I love Bam Adebayo. Well, that was
Miles
a good question.
Turner's probably up there for me.
Who else?
I'll write it down. Next time we don't have a lot of games to cover, we can talk about it.
And, I get a little biased for the Wisconsin people. Not Tyler Hero because he's a douchebag.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Halliburton is definitely my top 3. I love that he's so close to – he grew up so close to where I live right now. Like Oshkosh, growing up in Wisconsin, you hear about Oshkosh, Sloshkosh and Oshkosh Bagosh. And then we have an NBA player that's like, what is he, 3rd in assists yet?
He's up there.
He's top 3 for sure. I know he was leading the league for a long time. So, it's just a shout out to the Wisconsin. Wisconsin's starting to put some talent in NFL and NBA. Let's just say that.
Yep. All right. What else stood to you from the Nets game?
Drew caught fire in the 3rd. He was dominating. Had 8 points. Yeah. He was killing in the paint, getting whatever damn shot he wanted.
Left, bro.
Shout out to
he got to his left like 4 times.
and he made them all. This was Giannis's 31st 30-point game of the year.
Yep.
Both teams had a 15-point lead at one point in this game. And then I just have that we out rebounded them. We kicked their ass in the rebounds. We both had a ton of turnovers. I just wanted to point one last thing up before I give the floor to you. The Brooklyn Nets started this game 6 of 10 behind the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
They ended 12 of 36. Not good.
Imagine starting 60% and finishing 33.
Not good. But the Bucks turned up the defense in the second half. Let's just be
they did.
honest.
Glad
the
you brought that
defense
up.
was a little lackadaisical in the first.
Yep.
I was looking at it. I was actually texting my dad. My dad was throwing beanbags, and me and my dad were talking. And I was like, "They got to turn up the defense, man. Wait for that second half. Wait for Drew Holiday to be like, all right, that's enough fucking around. We're gonna flip the switch," and they did. And Giannis and Drew took over the third quarter, in my opinion.
Definitely. So we got Giannis back, obviously. Pat Connaughton back in the starting lineup. He hit a 3 on the first possession. Just a trend continuing of guys just coming in and just immediately scoring.
Yeah.
In the 44, 33, 22, 11, we didn't even mention Pat Connaughton scoring points. Or maybe I did.
I think you did. I think you said 6 from Pat.
I'd be remiss if I left Pat Connaughton out because got to have him up. So Bucks hit a 3 on their first possession and then got 3 straight layups. Then there was a possession where they got it was a tipped pass and Drew Holiday took off in transition, but the Nets got the ball back. So the Bucks were in kind of a scramble drill situation, and everybody was scrambling to recover on defense, and they forced a shot clock violation.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic defense. To be in a scramble drill mode, be able to recover strong enough, and then to force a shot clock violation out of it. That's what makes you the number 1 defensive rating team since January 1st.
Yeah, bro. Our defense is borderline suffocating. Just say that.
And then they added Jay Crowder.
Dude, now we're going to get stops, and you're going to hear about it. So good luck. Good luck.
That's awesome. Bucks got a little bit careless with the ball, and that's what allowed the Nets to build their 15-point lead. Chris Middleton got an and 1, and then, like Jake said, the lefty passed to Bobby Portis for an and 1. Giannis got a dunk before the end of the first quarter, gave the Bucks a little bit of momentum. Another dunk that cut the lead to single digits, and then Jay Crowder threw him an alley-oop that cut the lead to 6.
That was nasty.
Like Giannis just owned the second quarter.
Yeah, he did.
Javon Carter started heating up. He was 3 for 3 of his first 3 shots. Giannis hit a 3, cut the lead to 5. We're talking about Brook Lopez being underappreciated, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to bring up we on this show haven't talked about how efficient the Drew Holiday Brook Lopez pick and roll has been. Like I know you've mentioned it at times to your point.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've brought it up often enough.
No, dude,
it's gotten to a point where it's nearly as efficient as Chris and Giannis running pick and rolls.
100%, dude. Brook is this year he's so much better at finishing in the paint. And I love that Bud is allowing him to go into the paint more, kind of turning back the clock a little bit.
Yep.
And Drew has been passing a lot better this year. His passing has been pinpoint at times.
And here's the thing. There is no spot on the floor that Brook Lopez can't score from.
True that. Same thing with Drew. That makes it dangerous.
True. So that pick and roll working great. Nets pushed their lead back out to 11. Then the Bucks went on a 6-0 run to cut it to 5. Then Brooklyn went on a 5-0 run to push it back to 10. This game was just the epitome of basketball being a game of runs.
100%. I knew you were going to bring it up. That's why I was saying. I knew you were going to bring it up.
First half, free throws. Brooklyn 14 of 16. Milwaukee 2 of 6.
Yeah.
And 12 turnovers by the Bucks in the first half. For contrast, they only had 12 total against Miami on Friday.
And they only had 12 against the Suns too.
So 12 per game the first 2 games, and then they had 12 in the first half last night.
Yeah.
Get into the second half. Second possession. How did Giannis dunk that ball?
I don't
It was
know.
with his left hand, and he was like in the chest of somebody, and then he dunked the ball.
That was Nick Claxton's little ass bird chest that he tried to push out on Brooke. I was like, bro, put your little baby nipples away, dude. Tiny ass.
For Giannis to dunk on it, like and I've said this before, like Giannis has a game, like once a game, where he's like, how did he dunk that?
Bro.
Where like it's like something where it's like it should be a layup, and then he just turns it into a dunk, and it's like, okay.
Telling you, Giannis last night was a fucking highlight reel, bro.
Dude, he was letting people know. He was feeling himself in the third quarter. Dude was in his bag. Bucks went on a 9-2 run in 2 minutes in the third quarter, and Giannis scored 7 of those points.
Holy shit.
The run got to as many as 12-2 after that. Giannis had 7. Brook Lopez had the other 5, and the game was tied at 64. I want to give Grayson Allen credit because in the midst of all this Giannis dominance, he had a drive to the basket, stopped in the middle of the lane on a dime, pump faked, and got Nick Claxton in the air, and then finished with his left hand in the restricted circle.
Yeah, that was a nice move, bro.
So I want to give Grayson Allen some love. That was a nice move.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back to Giannis.
That didn't take long.
It didn't. The Nets, after the tie, went on a 12-2 run. Jrue Holiday ended the run, and then we got Dirk Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, that was a far fade.
He had, like, his foot was on the circle that's above the free throw line. Mm-hmm. He did that twice. We got double Dirk Antetokounmpo shots.
Let's go.
The lead was cut to 5, and then Giannis got his 4th foul at the 5:04 mark of the third quarter. So it's like, oh shit, this guy's been carrying, and now he's got 4 fouls with 17 minutes to go in the game. Mm-hmm. After that, that's where, like you said, Jrue Holiday turned up the heat. The defense turned up. Joe Ingles hit a 3 off of a turnover, cut the lead to 1 point. Bobby Portis hit a 3 right after. Joe Ingles, I don't remember who it was that drove to the basket, but Joe Ingles, perfectly vertical. Guy drove into him. It might have been Cam Johnson. Was it maybe Cam Johnson that drove into Joe Ingles? Well, he was perfectly vertical and missed the layup. And Bobby Portis hit a 3 coming down in transition. That gave the Bucks that 85-84 lead that you were referencing. Mm-hmm. The Bucks went on an 18-4 run to close the third quarter.
That's what championship teams do.
Bro. To come out at halftime, go on a 12-2 run, and then close the quarter on an 18-4 run, the Bucks outscored the Nets 39-23 in the third quarter.
I'm going to sound redundant, but that is what championship teams do. 100%.
We got the second Dirk Antetokounmpo shot to start the fourth quarter. Bucks scored on their first 3 possessions in the third quarter, 4 of their first 5 possessions to start the fourth quarter to give them a 10-point lead. Grayson Allen picking pockets, hitting threes. That pushed the lead to 15. The lead never got back to single digits. Mm-hmm. Giannis, 33 points. He only had 4 in the first quarter.
I know.
29 in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
In 28 minutes.
And he only scored 6 in the fourth quarter, by the way. So really the second and third quarter, he was kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah.
I think his dunk in the second quarter where he came down and he got to the right hand and he threw that son of a bitch down with so much thunder. I think that was my favorite dunk of the night. That was the one right before the lob from Jay Crowder.
Yep.
He threw that down. I saw the runway open. I said, oh, shit. And he wham! Because you know what's going to happen, dude. Dude, he's gigantic and he's fast. You're not getting in the way.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's where you make a business decision. And
or you end up on a highlight reel.
They made the correct one.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're giving him a free throw, too.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. The hoop and the harm, that's bad news.
Also 15 rebounds and 4 assists.
He's good.
Giannis is good. In other news,
You want to
sky
know?
is blue and winter in Wisconsin sucks.
The only reason he wasn't in our power pair is because he had to miss 2 of the 3 games. That's so stupid.
We should have put him in the power pair. Giannis averaged 33 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists this week in games that he finished.
Yeah, we'll be like ESPN and just make our own stats.
Give you a teeny tiny sample size. Chris Middleton, 18 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. Drew Holiday, 14 points and 8 assists. Brook Lopez, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks.
Monster.
Bench points. Milwaukee, 46. Brooklyn, 14.
Yeah. Our bench is good. Our bench is really deep now.
Telling you, deepest team in the league.
I agree with you.
Bucks turned the ball over 12 times in the first half, like I mentioned. Only 5 times in the second half, so that's much better.
Yep.
They held Brooklyn to only 42 second half points. 23 in the third, 19 in the fourth.
I like that. They definitely turned up the defense.
Yes, they did. You brought up the 3-point shooting, the rebounding, 55 to 38 on rebounds. That's how you win games. Controlling aspects of the game like that. The Bucks had 32 assists. They are now 32-4 on the season in games where they have 23 or more assists, and they've done that in 5 of their last 6 games.
Good God.
Bucks are sharing the ball well, distributing well, moving the ball. It's great stuff. Now, the Bucks went and winning. Yeah, that is helpful. Winning is helpful, especially if you're looking at wins and losses. Wins are helpful.
Yep. Winning helps.
Speaking of winning, Bucks were 10-0 in the month of February. That is only their 4th undefeated month in franchise history.
I was wondering because they talked about it. They talked about it last night. I was wondering. Oh boy, good find.
All right, so looking at what's next, they play tonight against Orlando. This annoys the shit out of me that they have a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they're off until Saturday, and they play Sunday, and there's air travel in between both of the back-to-backs. They fly from New York to Milwaukee, and then on Saturday they play home against Philly, and then they're at Orlando on Sunday. But they're off Thursday and Friday.
So they play Orlando on both the back-to-backs?
Yes, they do.
They play Orlando
tonight, Orlando is the second of both the back-to-backs. Oh, no, sorry. Washington. Sorry.
Oh,
they're at Orlando on Tuesday. They're at Washington on Sunday.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least we got bad teams in the second night of the back-to-backs.
I guess. And then for the injury report tonight, the only one listed is Wesley Matthews.
Oof.
Everybody else is off the injury report. So we might get to see maybe Chris in the starting lineup.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Good segue to my question. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
It's just it's a pick one or the other. You can't pick both.
All right.
Now, I was looking at it, and we have to re-sign Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton after the year. If you have to pick one, who are you picking?
This is kind of a cop-out, but I'd want to know who else is available at those positions.
That's fair. That's understandable.
If we could, say, sign Chris Middleton and Mo Bamba, like I would be sad, but like I could handle losing Brook if we got Mo Bamba because he's similar in play style and positional availability. I'm not sure who's available at small forward. Let's just say I know a guy that's really comparable to Chris Middleton. Not quite as good at certain things, in my opinion, but let's say Brandon Ingram. Let's say the Bucks were able to pry Brandon Ingram away from New Orleans and keep Brook Lopez. I'd be okay with that too. And in both situations, the Bucks get younger. But if it's strictly one or the other, I don't know. I think I'd pick Chris just because he's 3 years younger, and I think that keeps the title window open just a little bit longer.
That's fair. I said Brook. I'm not hating on Chris, but here's my reasoning. I said Brook because of him and Giannis having such good, connection down low and understanding
Mhm.
where each other is on defense. Also, I think that Giannis is at the point of his career where he could have another star want to play with him in Milwaukee. So, not saying anything bad about Chris. Don't take it that way, people. But I would sign Brook. He's going to sign a 1 or 2 year deal. We can
Right.
sign another superstar next to Giannis after Brook is off the books. We're going to have more money, anyways.
Right.
Also, Drew Holiday's contract will be running out, in the next couple of years when Brooks runs out. So we'll have a ton of money. We'll re-sign Giannis, have another superstar sign, and then we can just have more money to play with. So that was my kind of opinion on it.
And I get that. I totally get that train of thought. Like, there's 2 right answers and no wrong answers.
Agreed.
And
There's no
like I
wrong
said,
answer.
right. And for me, like I said, I would want to look at who else is available in free agency. Like if Jimmy Butler is going to be a free agent and he's going to want the same money as Chris Middleton, and we can do Jimmy Butler and Brook Lopez, like, sign me up.
Obviously, John Horst is going to try to get both of them, and I think both of them
Right.
will stay in Milwaukee.
I do too.
But I just wanted to hear. I would also like other people's opinions. So when you hear this back, or if you're hearing this now, give us your answers. I would love to know what people's train of thought.
Brittany said Lopez.
Brittany
He's
said
a monster
Lopez.
blocker.
She's new to basketball, so I'm going to allow it. Monster blocker. I'm going to allow it.
Okay. Now here's my question for you, and I have reasoning why I'm asking this question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Why do you think AJ Green is playing more minutes than Marjon Beauchamp?
I think that he's more NBA ready.
Okay.
I think it's the same situation that we had with the Packers, and this is what I'm going to use. Early on in the season, and yes, injuries were a factor, but I think that Romeo Doubs came into the NFL and he was more polished as a route runner, and he used his hands to catch, and he has the lower ceiling. Like, we know that his ceiling is still high, not saying that he can't turn into a good player, just like AJ Green can turn into a really good player, but at best, Romeo Doubs isn't going to be a number 1. He could turn into a really good number 2. He could turn into a fantastic number 3. But I think that Christian Watson can turn into a fantastic number 1, a tool that you can use at all levels of the field. And that's how I feel about Marjon Beauchamp. I feel like he has the ability to turn into a 3-level scorer. He has the ability to be a playmaker, a shooter, and also a tenacious defender. Where AJ Green's going to be an above-average defender at best and a really, really good shooter. Really good shooter. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it.
You fleshed out what I'm thinking in a really good way, and I like the parallel with the Packers wide receivers that you brought up, because I think that's a good way to potentially explain your thoughts on the subject. For me, I said that I think AJ is playing more and checking in earlier because I think his role is more defined. Yeah. AJ's role when he comes in is you come in and you hunt your shot.
Yeah.
And I think, in my opinion, the Bucks have massive plans for Marjon. I think they want him to be that, that potentially, let's say the Bucks do lose Chris Middleton in free agency after next year. So going into the 2024-2025 season, that Marjon is entering his 3rd season and they're ready for him to have a massive role, potentially a starting role. I think, like you said, you articulated it very well, that they have potentially an all-around role of him doing everything well.
I agree.
So I think they're working on his development with that and trying to have him learn all of these things while AJ's role is already defined. You come in, you shoot. That's it. And everything else you get from him is bonus. Where I think they have much larger plans for Marjon, and that's why they're bringing him on a little more slowly.
And, to our credit, we both gave credit to AJ Green. Oh, Tyler disconnected. We both gave credit to AJ Green, where we talked about him playing good defense at times over the last couple of weeks.
He's like Connor Essegian.
Yeah, we both pointed it out. Yeah, he can, like I said, he could turn into an above-average defender, in my opinion.
He's got the size.
He has to work on his lateral quickness, in my opinion. Now, I'm not.
I agree.
We're not going to turn into a show where we just bash all our players. But if he works on his lateral quickness and, like you said, uses his size to his advantage, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Who says he doesn't turn into like a Hito Turkoglu? I'm not saying he's going to be a playmaker.
I'm with that.
Turkoglu, but
Yeah.
Turkoglu was a really good shooter. He could give you buckets from the post, and he was an above-average defender, in my opinion.
And he was a little bit big for a forward.
A little bit big.
I'm with that.
That was just – I'm like, Hito could be a good comparison. If he turns into Hito Turkoglu, bro, from the second round, shit.
Dude, he wasn't even drafted. He was undrafted.
Oh, yeah, true that. He
was signed like immediately after the draft, so I think they kind of had an eye on him with that 60th pick, but he was undrafted.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, think about that, man. Shit.
Yeah. In my opinion, he adds, and this is opportunity. We're not saying that these are holes in his games that like the reasons that he's not, part of the rotation already, but these are opportunities for him to grow. These are the areas that we see for him where if he develops, he could grow into this really good player. He's had some good passing games. I just mentioned he had 4 assists in the Phoenix game.
And the culture that these young guys are in right now with this team, the Milwaukee Bucks might have the best culture in the league. The Celtics are very good because they're a very tight-knit group, and they've been together for a long time.
They're a basketball history culture.
Yeah. Well, and even their current team, they've been to a lot of damn playoff games together, just like the Bucks.
And Brad Stevens deserves a lot of credit for that.
He does. So, I mean, those young guys coming up in that culture, understanding what it takes to win, and I'll say it again, the best leader in sports, leading your team, and understanding day in and day out what he gives. And we talked about it before the season, MarJon's locker where it is, right between Drew Holiday and Giannis, it don't get much better than that. I don't care. It doesn't get much better than that. You're seeing every angle of everything, the dad jokes, the 50-point games, the in first, out last attitude, elite defenders, scorers. You're seeing it all. So they're being put in a position to win. It's on them now to take that advantage.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's all valid. And starting tonight, they play Orlando, looking for win number 16. They play Philadelphia at Saturday at home. Then they have 2 road games at Washington, at Orlando. The Bucks they're pretty healthy. I'm gonna go a 4-0 week. Philadelphia don't scare me. That's the only game that I think is even like outside of guys missing games or just like a terrible, complete meltdown of a game. That I think is the only game that's even really questionable. But in my mind, Philadelphia doesn't scare me, especially at home.
Philadelphia doesn't scare me either. So you're going to make me go to my card here. The Milwaukee Bucks have won 15 straight games. With a win tonight versus the Orlando Magic, they would tie for the 3rd longest win streak in franchise history. Now, for people at home, the longest win streak in Bucks history is 20 games. They're going to have a 4-0 week this week because I 100% agree with Tyler. None of these games scare me, okay? The Magic are young. The Sixers are overrated. Blah, blah, blah. We're going 4-0. James Harden's still a giant baby with a big beard for some reason.
I mean, Embiid's rubbing off on him, who's also a giant baby with a beard.
I wish Embiid would just get the fuck out of Philadelphia so I could cheer for him because I actually like his game. Not going to lie to you. He's fun to watch sometimes.
I recognize his ability.
Yeah.
He's got MVP ability. What he does is he chooses to not use it in the ways that are best effective for him. He wants to play on the perimeter.
Yeah,
Get your big, strong ass in the paint and dominate people.
It's okay to use the three-pointer to pull him out. That's okay. Everybody knows you can shoot that, Joel. Go down low and dog these little dudes, man.
Dude, the fact that he will shoot 15 shots a game and like 10 of them will be jump shots is wrong.
It is. That's backwards.
Yes.
He should, like I just said, he should be using that to pull defenders away when they start packing the paint.
Yep.
Giannis is literally giving you 50-point games without a jump shot, bro. There's no excuse for Embiid to not give 50s. There's no excuse.
Especially for a dude that gets as many free throws as he does.
He could lead the league in scoring every year if he wanted to. Joel, seriously. He could.
I agree.
He could every year. And he just chooses to take dumb shots. I don't know if it's the system. I don't want to blame it all on James Harden, but, you know, James Harden is only effective in the pick and roll now. He
True.
occasionally he's not ISO anymore. He can't ISO anymore.
Right.
He lost quickness with that
Yep.
injury that he had his last year.
Yep.
Right before he went over to Brooklyn,
Yep.
when he was with Houston, he lost some quickness.
Yeah.
So you could tell that, and now he's only effective in the pick and roll.
And he's not getting 10,000 free throws a game by flailing on threes.
True. But the reason he was getting those threes, though, is because he had that quick first step, man.
Right.
And I want people to acknowledge that. But
that's an explosion.
Yeah, he lost that. And part of the reason that his pick and roll is so effective is because Joel Embiid is the player that he is. But,
yeah,
we got two people that own Joel Embiid on one roster. So you're pretty much screwed.
True.
It is what it is, man. 4-0 week for me as well. I'm excited. Let's get it. 4-0 and 2-0. We need it.
Need it. Definitely need that 2-0.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to discuss?
No, I'm good to go. I'm ready.
All right. Just want to give one more shout out to Brian from Open Locker for joining me today for a short interview to talk about the Matty Baddies thing.
Mm-hmm.
NIL sponsorship for a handful of Badgers basketball players. You can go get autographed cards for $29. That's super cheap, and there's a bunch of perks that go with it. And if the Badgers win the Big Ten tournament, you get your money back.
Let's get it. Let's get everybody's money back.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get everybody's money back. The quest for madness continues tomorrow. Let's get nuts. Let's get some wins for the Badgers. And I will see you next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and commenting along. We'll be back next Wednesday.
Yes, sir.